All right. Well, welcome everybody. My name is David, and I get to be your moderator to this extraordinary Beyond the Bedside series, monetizing your nursing expertise. I'm so glad that you got a chance to join us tonight. We've got an action-packed 60 minutes of just great expertise to help you to take your career to the next level, whether that's to advance your part-time opportunities or whether it's to maybe explore new opportunities. You have a wealth of advice and expertise that's going to be shared with you. So if you're just joining us, all the lines are muted for the participants. We're going to be doing this in kind of an interview format, but it's really more of a forum than it is an opportunity for these experts to present their expertise. We really want to gain questions from the participants because they have a passion. Our experts have a passion for helping nurses like you to take your career to the next level. So if you have a question or if you have a concern, please submit your questions using the control panel on your screen. We'll ask those questions in the order in which they're received. And I'm just so excited to get this kicked off. I want everybody to just take down as many distractions as they can. I know that you have a lot of stuff going on, but the next hour cannot just change this year. It couldn't just change 2015, but it could change 2016 and beyond. This can totally transform your life if you take the expertise. You know, they say that success leaves clues, and tonight you're going to get a lot of clues, and you're not going to get some things that are hypothetical examples. These are people that are actually doing the things that you want to do, and now they're ready to share with you some of their expertise. I don't know why you decided to join this webinar, but we have some people that are just, they're brand new nurses and they're just tired of long hours and increasing demands and they're looking for something different. Does that resonate with you? Or maybe you're still in school and you need more flexibility and an opportunity to maybe move your hours around so that you can still generate some additional income for your family. Or maybe you're looking to get back into nursing. Maybe you've had a chance to take some time off and get out of the market to raise your kids or just to have a downtime in life, and you're ready to get back into it and figure out what you're going to do to get that killer opportunity in the next 6 to maybe 9 months or less. We're going to talk a little bit more about how to be an advanced practice nurse, somebody that's actually out there that is looking to create some more independence in their life. Or maybe you've wanted to run your own business and you just don't know where to start, where you're going to get a chance to hear from experts who have dealt with the concerns like the overhead or trying to figure out how to get the capital to get your business started. These 3 women that I have in the webinar tonight, I get to be the token male. These gals are crushing it in the respective markets, and you're going to get a chance to hear from them. We're also going to talk about running your own businesses and how to overcome some things that are like inadequate reimbursement or the cost of paying a supervising physician or dealing with malpractice, overhead associated with keeping a business. How do you do all this stuff? Well, tonight you're going to get a chance to hear from some real people doing some really cool things. This is such a treat for you guys tonight. I hope that you guys will stay on for the entire hour and maybe a little bit after. I just asked for permission from these 3 successful people to say, hey, would you spend a little bit of extra time and give these people some nuggets so that they can ask some questions free of charge? And all of them agreed to stay a few minutes after just in case there's extra questions. But I think that you're going to get a lot of questions answered in the next few minutes. So no matter what your situation is, we're going to cover some non-traditional nursing roles that you can explore. We're going to talk about how to get into those roles and what kinds of incomes that you can expect. All of our panelists tonight are nurses that have identified a need in the marketplace and they went out and filled it. They're entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs, and they're going to share their experience with you tonight. First off, we have Carmen Kusicek. Is that pronounced right, Carmen?
You nailed it, David.
Oh, I love that. I practice hard. But I'm so excited to hear from all of your extensive background. I mean, academic, professional background in both nursing and healthcare. Carmen has helped thousands of nurses and nursing students to envision a brighter future filled with possibilities. With her love of business, she's assisted her nursing clients to increase their incomes by, get this, 20% or more within an average of about 5 months. I can't wait to get more details. She's contemporary, passionate, and thought-provoking. Carmen challenges nurses with support and encouragement and guidance to reach beyond their envisioned expectations. Using step-by-step techniques, she's got a great book, by the way. You can see it on the screen right now. She guides you on how to position yourself in the nursing field for continued growth and success. So Carmen, welcome to our presentation tonight.
Thank you very much, David. Thank you for hosting.
You're welcome. And next up, we have Maricela Segluti. I'm getting practice here. Did I say it right, Maricela?
Yes, you did.
Oh man, I'm 2 for 2. Well, Maricela is an experienced nursing professional with a passion for continuing innovation in nursing care. After 15 years of progressively more responsibilities as a nurse specialist, she saw the need to create a virtual clinic. How cool is that? Virtual clinic. She's leveraging technology to connect patients to nursing services. Maricela is the founder and CEO of Telenurse Network, and she leads a team of IT, sales, and healthcare professionals. She holds a Bachelor of Science in Healthcare Management, a Bachelor of Science in Nursing from St. Peter's University in the prestigious area of Jersey City, New Jersey. Maricela, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you, David.
The next one up with a third hard-pronouncing name is Donnie Alvarenga. Donnie is an advanced practice nurse that now runs her own wellness and health coaching business. And her practice is booming. I can't wait till you get a chance to hear what she's done, not just professionally, but wait till you see what she's done personally. Her experience as an oncology nurse fueled her passion for wellness. And as a pediatric nurse practitioner, she ran a weight management program for kids. And she experienced all the challenges associated with promoting wellness from within inside a managed care environment. Hey, you guys all know what that's like. After losing 55 pounds herself, she now focuses on coaching and consulting individuals and health professionals to implement best practices and best-in-class wellness programs. So Donnie, thanks so much for being with us tonight.
Thanks, David.
Well, let's kick it on over to Carmen, because Carmen, you have just a great background of expertise. And tell us a little bit about your background, and then tell us about some of these books that you wrote.
Sure. I started off, my first degree is in nuclear medicine, which is pathophysiology at its finest. I went back and grabbed a bachelor's of science in nursing, followed pretty promptly after about 7 years as an advanced practice nurse midwife with my master's out of Case Western Reserve University. I was in Illinois, one of the hardest areas to work because the AMA, the American Medical Association, is based there. So very challenging for mid-level providers. And I decided to give that up. It just wasn't worth it after all of that schooling. I said, it's not worth all the politics and such. So instead, I went to work for the #1 drug company in the world, Pfizer. And at Pfizer, I worked at first in sales and then later as a nurse educator in psychiatry and neurology. Followed that up by some stints of teaching for 7 years at the for-profit and non-for-profit sectors. Started developing and opening nursing schools across the country for the second largest for-profit system, which is now defunct. So we can get into that on where you get your education at, because I know how it matters. And then I went back into pharma, into biotech, and worked as a nurse educator again. And now I work within the insurance industry, running utilization review or utilization management. I am a supervisor there. However, in the meantime, in case that wasn't enough high energy, I have written 2 books. One was named one of the best books of 2014, and I followed it up 2 years later with another book. And my original book was 2012, but it won an award in 2014. So then another book, and I do speaking engagements around the country, and I'm working with Wolters Kluwer Lippincott to change nursing curriculum across the country.
Wow. Well, in your spare time, what do you do? My goodness. I think that you have a sophisticated background, and you have some really key experience in going from getting an education and applying that education into your field. Talk a little bit about what nurses can do with the degree they already have.
I think a lot of people go and actually believe the business of education, which is the colleges. They actually believe, these colleges, that they must go and get all these different certifications or multiple degrees or keep going for a degree. And they don't realize that that is a business who is selling you quite a line. They have fabulous marketing. Speaking of marketing, before I answer that question fully, David, the schools that are in front of you that are the most marketed are not always the schools that you should go to. So if you look at it this way, to be a physician, you only need a bachelor's degree in anything to then go to med school. You don't see people who are physicians who went to a lot of these for-profit schools. I've never run across a physician who went to University of Phoenix or who went to Chamberlain College of Nursing or Grand Canyon University. So I don't care that those are the most marketed. I would look at, if you want online education, I would look at Purdue University or University of, you name the state, and they have online learning. So really be cognizant of where you're picking up and spending your money for your piece of paper. But with that piece of paper, don't be lulled into the false sense that you truly need many of them. I've never seen the job application that says, how many bachelor's degrees do you have? So there are a lot of people who have a bachelor's in something already and then go on and want to go into nursing. I do not agree, depending on your age, that you have to have a bachelor's of science in nursing. Because if you are in my age group, and I am now 44, you would only need that BSN if you worked at the bedside for magnet hospitals. I would not do that because you will be running around, not ever really making enough money to save for retirement, and you cannot keep parlaying that. It is coming if you're my age. So if you're in your 40s or older and you already have a bachelor's degree, if you want to be a nurse, that's great. But if you already are a nurse and you're actually listening to your employer saying that you must have a bachelor's of science in nursing, I would get away from those traditional employers because they want more and more pieces of paper and they will pay you less and less.
That's great. And I want to go and move on to just another question that one of our registered participants asked, and it was, what are some of the non-traditional work environments nurses can work in?
Well, let me definitely explain that, David. That's a great question. So traditional employment sectors are probably what you learned about in school or from your mother's generation of nursing. And this is not your mother's nursing anymore. The people today are usually the breadwinners of the family, and they have to work. They're not working just for something else to do or for extra side money. So my mother's generation of nursing, and no, my mom was not a nurse, but just to give you an example, the traditional employment venues were hospitals, doctors' offices, and clinics, and also education, meaning collegiate education. So anything outside of that is considered non-traditional. So for example, a nurse educator. Remember I said I worked for pharma and biotech as a nurse educator? That was not something that needed a master's degree necessarily. So if you're someone who loves education and you're thinking, oh, I must go and get all of these degrees, well, you must if you work in traditional nursing. However, if you looked at pharma, biotech, that is non-traditional. Insurance companies, non-traditional. Home health, hospice, non-traditional. Entrepreneurship, marketing, any of that is non-traditional. Does that answer your question?
That's really good. And while we're on that topic, I'd like to do a quick poll. And for those of you that have drifted away from your computer, I'd like for you to come back and cast a vote on this quick poll because we're looking for some feedback so that our panelists can give really specific advice to those people that are on the call right now. So if you're available to go over and cast your vote on the poll, we're going to close the poll up here in about 60 seconds. So just let us know, are you looking for a part-time role or are you looking for a job? Or are you looking for a real business opportunity? Because based on the participants that are on the call live, that's how we'd like to kind of cater our content for tonight. So go ahead and cast your vote. Thank you, everybody that has voted so far. Good deal. A couple more people need to still vote. Give us another 30 seconds or so. Cast your vote really quick, and then I'll close up and I'll share those that feedback. Thank you so much, everybody, for participating. A couple more people need to still cast their vote. Great. All right, so let's go ahead and share those results here. So it looks like more people are actually looking for a business opportunity than those people that are looking for jobs. And so when it comes down to career coaching and what you're doing, Carmen, what are some of the things that you would tell a nurse that's looking for more advancement in a career versus a business opportunity? How would you work with that individual person?
You know, it's really interesting because sadly the nurses come to me and they'll say, oh, I'm an ER nurse, so I want another ER job. And really what I would do is step back and say, what is it about the ER job that you like? Because there's a skill set transfer that you can utilize what it is that you do like into something that will make you the money that you need to have, but will also satisfy you with, perhaps it is or isn't seeing patients, or maybe it's the change of healthcare. So for example, if you are an ER nurse, or really, ER, ICU, labor and delivery, many of those have similar traits in that you like a fast-paced, high turnover, where you have a team of people that you usually work with, but that you constantly have new patients. So really what that means to me is you're open to change. You want some things that are standard, but you like the opportunity to constantly advance in what you're doing. So if that's the skill set that you like, then what I would do is look at things, for example, if we're going to pick like an employer, I would never put a nurse like that. I would never mention that they should look at being a telephonic nurse case educator, or even a telephonic nurse in the insurance industry. That would kill that kind of personality, because they would have to sit at the computer all day long. So instead, what would be better is if they have that type of mindset, their own business would be phenomenal. Many are not certain on that, but it actually would be. Or other things that they would be great at is that they could work within a territory or a region and do education, for example, to go to different hospitals after a sales company has been in there and teach them about either their computer software that the nurses and physicians need to interface with, or how to use like their new pumps, their new epidural pumps, their new IV pumps, or different opportunities such as that, because it would give you the same crew that you're working with, but yet you're always seeing new faces. So it's a skill set transfer of, that's how I help people with when I coach them, because I want them to be happy, to earn what they're truly worth, and to have more of a goal of I'm not here to help with a job. I am here to help them with their career, and there's a big difference.
That's great. Well, when it comes down to finding that killer job, do you recommend that nurses use a recruiter, or is there special keywords that they would use to search out that perfect opportunity?
There's both. If you ever work with a recruiter, it's very important that you realize that you do not pay the recruiter. The recruiter is paid by the employer. There's nothing wrong with working with a recruiter, but you have to realize that you should work with a few recruiters, because a recruiter is only as good as the job that they're sourcing for, and their goal is to fill that position. There are opportunities that are not put out there. They're only given to recruiters. That can happen. So it is still good to work with a recruiter. However, you can find a lot of job opportunities if you know how to analyze the market and do the job search. And it is your resume that must be chock full of keywords, because it is 2015. It's not like you hand in a written, resume. It goes online. And if it's not full of the keywords, it will not even get noticed by the scanners and even make it to the internal recruiters at the place that you're applying to.
I watched a YouTube with you, and I thought you had a great little tip, and this is a jotter downer about just your ability to network, even while you're in school.
Yes.
So you want to give them that little bit of information about networking and the power of that and finding the next opportunity?
Absolutely. I will tell you right now, write this down, LinkedIn. A lot of business people are on there and not so many nurses, because it's simply not something that's taught in nursing. There's a huge disconnect of nursing and business. So when you find people like myself, Donnie, and Maricela, the other two on the webinar tonight, it is a huge bonus, because we all understand the components of business and healthcare or nursing. So for nursing students, while you are a nursing student, every single person that you meet in clinical, I don't care if they're the nursing manager, I don't care if they're a brand new nurse, or if they're a seasoned veteran nurse. You better start networking with them, because you never know when you're going to need some help with landing a position. And it's all sometimes the big who do you know game, or who do you know about that person game. So every single person, you should absolutely write names down and contacts and some type of information. The best thing that you could do is get on LinkedIn or Nurses Lounge, any of those social networks, to connect with people, because if you build your base now of people that you're meeting, could you just imagine when, I've been a nurse since 95. Could you imagine if I would have kept in contact with everybody along the way, the huge, vast network of, hey, when I'm looking for something, who I could reach back to for a helping hand. So build that network.
That's so great. Well, if you haven't already, we're going to provide you with an opportunity to go find the people that are on this webinar right now and search them out on LinkedIn. They're actually going to provide you their LinkedIn profile information so that you can connect with them, because all of our panelists tonight are great connectors, and if you connect with them, there's a good chance they could connect you to somebody or to a resource in some of their services that they provide. So Carmen, thank you so much. And
Thank you
stick
very
on the
much.
line. We're going to get to some questions. I've already got some questions coming in, but I want to move on to Maricela and then come back to you with some more questions. So stay tuned, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Great. Well, Maricela, thanks so much for joining us tonight. And we're already just a couple of minutes into this webinar, and we've all got a bunch of jotter-downers from Carmen. But talk a little bit about your background and how you came to find this great opportunity and this great gap in the market, and how you filled it with telenurse.
Sure, absolutely, David. I actually started with my first bachelor's degree in Hackensack University Medical Center. I've been working there for over 15 years now. And I've worked in New York also. I've worked in the Mount Sinai Health System in 2 hospitals, St. Luke's Hospital and Roosevelt Hospital. And there were amazing opportunities there. I worked with one of the best orthopedic hospital, which is Hospital for Special Surgery, doing quality. So I have quality experience, I have coding experience, billing experience, and all that. I became a clinical documentation specialist nurse. So, the next focus in that is ICD-10, which is one of the biggest changes in healthcare coming in October 1st. And then I saw a need for really nursing representation in telemedicine. There's actually only 1% of nurses that are represented in the American Telemedicine Trade Show event, which was this past May in Los Angeles. And really, one of the things that I saw is really a lack of companies that are really catered to the nursing environment, meaning that some nurses are utilizing FaceTime, Google Hangouts, and other non-HIPAA compliant technology, which can significantly affect their practices. I've spoken to various physicians, and they're like, okay with nurses utilizing texting their patients to connect with them, or using Skype technology. And that technology in itself, it's not encrypted for it to be share with the patient. Whatever that patient is sharing with you, it's confidential. So if it does become, let's say if a patient says, I've connected with this nurse, and you get brought in where that patient tells on you, you could be liable and possibly fined up to $25,000, if not more, with just utilizing technology that's not appropriate for patient use. So one of the focus for a telenurse network is really to provide a turnkey solution for nurses and nurse practitioners to connect with patients. Either they have their own private practices and they're thinking about utilizing technology, such as telemedicine, or they're clinical consultants and they want to, just work from home, and, that's one of the things that I saw. There was a huge disconnect in there.
Well, let's talk a little bit about some of the opportunities and some of the roles that telenurses play. Would you just go into a little bit more kind of in the different roles and opportunities that are available?
Yeah, there's actually quite a few. You have the call centers. Now, nurses are not employed in the call centers or remote patient monitoring centers, but they can manage them. You really don't want a nurse staring at a screen with a bunch of biometrics where you can have a nursing assistant look at that. Your skill set, your clinical background, your experience, you can utilize that in a different way as opposed to just staring at a dashboard with just biometric. You can manage those type of scenarios where you can be a manager for a remote patient monitoring center or a call center, nurses now they can do clinical consultations if you're a nurse practitioner. You can also do, educators. Educators can also provide virtual education, but think about the nurses that need to be educated in how to provide care with telemedicine, and that's something that's fairly new. Actually, we are affiliated with Adelphi University, and they're actually launching a huge telehealth platform for their nursing informatics program, because now really the role of the nurse educators to think about how to teach that nurse practitioner or nurses coming out of nursing school how to connect with patients in a virtual setting. And it takes tremendous amount of skills to sort of assess, diagnose, and treat that patient within a short period of time in a virtual setting.
So one of the questions that just came in from our participant was, is this a role that would be an employable career, or is this actually a business opportunity where somebody can actually go out there and start their own practice in telemedicine?
I would suggest you can do both. You can either sort of go into certain companies that already have their own platform, and you become a consultant in, if you're geared to women's health, you have Maven Clinic. There's a bunch of other companies that you can actually do both. You can still take care of patients and still connect with patients in a virtual environment, or you can have your own private practice. I suggest now with 22 states that have full practice authority and nurse practitioners really coming out with their own practices, I would suggest that they should really think about having some sort of virtual platform for their practices. And the reason why I say that is because if you think about Blockbuster, what happened to Blockbuster, right? It's like obsolete now. Like who you do Hulu or Amazon Prime and all these other technologies, and one of the things that's going on is, for instance, Texas, Teladoc, which is huge in Texas. Some of the physicians are really fighting Teladoc to sort of, they want to really close down Teladoc because all their practices are kind of dwindling down. Mm-hmm. So if you think about nurse practitioners opening up their own practices, and they're getting all these other companies where retail health is coming in, hospitals, community centers, they have these huge grants for telemedicine. And here you have a small practice from a nurse practitioner that doesn't use technology. She's gonna perhaps not get as much clients as other companies, because consumers want them now. They want to connect to a physician, they want to connect to a nurse practitioner or a nurse today within the hour. If they can just go into any website, any app, and just make a schedule appointment and connect with them. They want something that's immediate and on demand. They don't want to be waiting for somebody for a few weeks or a couple of days to treat them.
Yeah, the speed of now, right? I mean, that's what people are looking for. I mean, now we got advertisements for emergency room waiting times. I mean, that's what people are advertising. They want fast service. And so I can see with all of these great reasons you've laid out why somebody would want to start a virtual nursing practice. Let's talk about another question about state lines and what are some of the risk factors or regulations that prevent going over state lines?
So as a registered nurse, for instance, if I live in the state of New Jersey, I have a license in New Jersey and New York and Florida. So I can treat patients that live in the state of New Jersey, the state of New York, and Florida. So that's something that each nurse should really consider, because it really, you can practice telemedicine where the patient resides and where you have license in. So you can practice across state lines as long as that patient is within the state that you have a license with.
Nice. And do you provide any kind of coaching or counseling for nurses that want to start their practice? Do you kind of have a program that you guide them through, or where do they get their education on getting their practice up and running?
I don't provide them with education, but I know a nurse practitioner that has extensive experience with that. I certainly don't want to take away from nurse educators that have been doing this for many years, such as Carmen, that have coaching services for nurses how to start their own businesses, or other nurse practitioners that have come, to know, in LinkedIn. What I provide is knowledge about telemedicine and how to use technology in your practice or in your future if you want to be able to make money, from home.
But here's another question from Yolanda. She says, is online academic coaching a good virtual opportunity? That sounds like something that you would maybe give some guidance on.
Absolutely. You would, like, for instance, you have nurse practitioner students that need to get clinical hours and preceptorship. So if you think about that disconnect where there's a huge market out there and there's nurses that want to be able to provide or increase access to care in rural areas, and you use technology to do so. So if you start training nurses how to utilize technology, how to assess patients, like I said, in a 10-minute or in a 25-minute range, you can really make that a real business, because there's really nothing out there that, where you can train nurses. There's no really certification for telehealth nursing. It's not even a specialty. It's really a sort of a broad term where nurses are using technology to connect with patients. So if you want to do something like that, where you want to become a nurse educator using technology, I would think that is a huge market out there, because nurses want to be able to provide services, but they want to be comfortable doing so. And there's actually a few universities that have started their own programs in sort of a telehealth practitioner programs out there.
That's great. Well, for those of you that are getting your wheels turning and you're starting to ask those questions, hey, hold on, we're going to do some Q&A towards the end. But I want to talk to Carmen again. I want to have Carmen come back in and just talk about some of the people that she's talked to that have moved towards this idea of telemedicine or using virtual tools to take advantage of maybe some skills that they have. Anything that you could add, Carmen?
Well, absolutely, David. Maricela is spot on. I mean, I'm in a PMHNP program and I'm doing telepsych. So PMHNP is psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. So this is something that's happening right now. It is not futuristic. Maricela is spot on. The additional insights that I would add is nurses need to understand what a compact nursing license can afford them. So you can get a compact nursing license, a multi-state. For example, I can practice in over 23 states with my license that I have on the state that I live in. Now, I didn't always live in a compact state, but you still can get a license in a compact state, even if you don't live in that state. So that's something that should be looked into, because of course that even broadens the scope more. And it's like Maricela's saying, there is such a need. It's not like, oh, we can't have all these nurses getting on the computer and doing this. The rural healthcare markets, just in case I'm not busy, my third book is focused on this that I'm writing. So the rural healthcare markets, you're lucky if you have an associate degree nurse taking care of you. These are the people who feed us. These are the farmers way out west and in the Midwest, and really almost any state has a rural aspect, even New Jersey, don't they?
Yeah. I live in beautiful Pella, Iowa. We call it God country because only God knows where it's at. And there are many rural hospitals that are being shut down.
Yes.
Having to travel, 60 miles to get to a major clinic or hospital.
Absolutely. And I'm sure that Maricela addresses this. I definitely talk about, of course, there's different business entities that you can get. There's certain state-specific ones that I would additionally recommend, whether you do or don't live in the state. For example, Wyoming, because it gets more complex, but that's where I would get my LLC from, or S Corp or C Corp. But it is imperative to jump on this because there's a need, and you can, like she said, you can work for a company or for yourself.
I love it. Thank you so much for adding your expertise. Carmen, talk a little bit about these specialty nursing care services as we wrap up and move on to Donnie.
Specialty care services, please clarify, do you mean, like women's health?
I'm sorry. I meant to throw that back over to Maricela. Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Maricela, would you talk a little bit about these different options?
Absolutely. What hasn't been explored is really nurses are really unique, where we have all these experience, such as palliative care, pediatric care, women's health. You have all these services. And there's really nothing out there right now in telemedicine. It's really focused on one, either mental health or your famous teledoc, which is primary care physicians connecting with patients via phone. They don't even use actually telehealth. They will be using telehealth once they build that platform coming up, but they only just talk to a patient via phone. So if a patient really needs, let's say, a wound nurse or an ostomy nurse or a diabetic educator, and that experience that a nurse has, in how essential that would be in telemedicine, if you think about that. And that hasn't been explored. So really one of the focus for Telenurse Network is really to combine a whole network of specialty nurses that can provide these services for patients. Why? Because if I'm spending $40 or $60 for a visit, I want to be able to talk to a specialist. And I don't know about you, David, but I have really a really complicated insurance, meaning that I have to go to my primary care provider to get a referral and then get some sort of a paper or a fax to connect with my specialist, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that can take a few weeks because somebody has to talk to my insurance, get an authorization, fax something over, and then weeks later find out this endocrinologist or whatever is available on 2 weeks later. So there I've spent 2 or 3 weeks trying to connect with somebody, where you can have a nurse practitioner, endocrinologist on online in telemedicine. Wouldn't that be great? You just connect specialists, and why not utilize nursing services, in telemedicine, which, just as good as any physician.
Well, and we're going to take some more questions here at the end, but thank you so much for awakening to this opportunity. I know that there's a lot of people that get smoke coming out of their ears, their wheels are turning so much, and they're thinking, you mean I could have flexibility and I can actually be home with my family or have more freedom? And so I'm looking forward to having your expertise expounded upon as we wrap up here. Next, we're going to introduce Donnie Alvarenga, and as I can show you on the screen, if you've navigated away, I want you to come back, because Donnie hasn't just done something professionally, but she's done something personally that has led to more professional opportunity. So Donnie, talk to us about how you got into health and wellness coaching.
Well, thanks, David. I became a nurse because I wanted to help people get healthy. I became a nurse because I wanted to help people. And then I started working in oncology. I was there for 8 years. It didn't take me very long to realize that I could help people as an oncology nurse, but I couldn't help them get very healthy, or as healthy as I wanted to help them get. And so I just realized that that's where I wanted to focus. And I even considered leaving nursing altogether because I didn't know if I could do that within the medical system. I ended up deciding to become a pediatric nurse practitioner, thinking that I could help raise healthy families. And in pediatrics, I did get to focus more on helping people get healthy than I did in oncology nursing. However, I still felt like my hands were tied. And even though my professional ambition was I wanted to help people thrive, I wanted to get away from the mindset of just surviving, and I wanted to help people thrive. That was my professional ambition. My personal ambition was that I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. I wanted to be able to raise my children, but I still had to pay bills. I had to work because I had to pay bills, and like Carmen was talking about just a little while ago. And so I started thinking that I had to pick between my professional ambition and my personal ambition. Either I could be professionally fulfilled and make enough money to pay my bills, or I could be home with my kids and not be able to pay my bills. And yet I found a way through health coaching that I've been able to be home with my kids. I've been able to help people get healthy, and I've been able to make more money than I did as a nurse practitioner. And a couple of barriers that I noticed within the healthcare system that in terms of helping people get healthy, you think healthcare and you think we're trying to help get people healthy, and we are, okay, but there's some limitations to that. And what I noticed was that the healthcare system was just not effective at fixing the problem that I wanted to fix. And it limited what I could do, which limited the results that I could create, which limited my sense of accomplishment, my sense of fulfillment. And the healthcare system also dictated my schedule. I had to request time off 6 months ahead of time. And I didn't want to do that. I felt like it controlled my life. And I've spoken with so many other nurses that are moms or daughters, that are, or her husbands, that just feel trapped by their choices the way that I did. And now as a health coach, not only am I able to help people get healthy, but I'm also able to empower other health professionals that want to do that, and that are wanting to help get America healthy.
Well, there's already some messages that are coming in that are just congratulating you on your health transformation. I kind of glossed over it because for the sake of time, but would you share what your personal health journey has given you and your husband? Because I think that it's very motivating and encouraging.
Well, I had never heard of health coaching until I used a health coach myself. And it's kind of interesting because I had run a weight management program for kids. So when I heard about a health coach, I thought, I don't need a health coach. But obviously I did, because after running a weight management program for kids, I went on to deliver twins and gain 55 pounds. And my husband wanted to work with a coach, and I thought, well, what can she teach me? I know it all. I was a little bit of a snob. And yet it was amazing because it kind of bridged the gap for me from knowing what to do and doing what I knew. And not only did it help me lose 55 pounds, it helped my husband lose 100 pounds, and it also helped me discover what I wanted to be when I grow up. Excuse me.
Get a little choked up, I know. Well, there's so many nurses out there that are, they're going to try to help everybody else to get healthier, and they're going to die trying. And some of them are truly dying. And as you can start to see from the MODAC study, that obesity, #2 preventable cause of death. So huge opportunities, not just in terms of nurses getting healthy, but also in helping America to get healthy. Would you just talk a little bit about the power of the opportunity?
Well, as I mentioned, I noticed that most of the problems that I was dealing with were so preventable. 2/3 of Americans and 8 out of 10 causes of death were related to obesity. And so I thought that if I wanted to help people get healthy, I needed to help people with their weight. I'm sorry. And 85% of people that go on a diet, they regain their weight within 2 years. So I knew that dieting was not the way to go. And I just really wanted to help people change their behavior, change their habits. That's really the secret to lasting results. However, change doesn't come in a pill. And it doesn't happen overnight. It requires time and it requires support. And the issue within traditional healthcare is that we don't get paid for the time and support that's necessary. What ends up happening is that we get either paid by insurance companies or we get paid by self-pay people. And insurance companies may or may not choose to pay for the necessary time and support. And when it comes to self-pay, they're looking at their budget and saying, I need to pay a mortgage, I have to feed a family, do I have money to pay for behavior modification? What is that? And so sometimes people don't recognize the value and they're not willing to spend the money on it, Yeah. And so, I'm sorry, go ahead, David.
I was just going to say that there are so many barriers in healthcare, but you overcame those barriers and you found something that was giving you an opportunity to actually go out there and not only create health in your own life, but create health in other people's lives and earn an income doing it. So talk a little bit about this solution that you found.
Well, on that slide, you can see some of the barriers that I experienced when I was running the weight management program for kids. They didn't allow me time to see the kids just because we didn't know if insurance companies were going to pay for it. Parents didn't want to take time off from work to bring their kids in because it was just inconvenient, to take time off from work if somebody's not dying. And being overweight was perceived as cute. And, I had to figure out how to set up this program because I took the initiative for it. So there was no structure. And if I had a 6% weight maintenance rate, because in pediatrics, we're really just trying to help kids maintain their weight. And if I had a 6% success rate with that, I was doing backflips. And so essentially I was celebrating a 94% failure rate. And what's really sad about that is that the reason I celebrated it was because I was really in line with the national standards. And I noticed that the health coach that I was working with, she didn't deal with any of these barriers that I was dealing with. You know, I kept banging my head against the wall trying to get this going. And so I decided to use the system that she was using because she wasn't dealing with any of that. You know, I was able to connect with my clients every single day and then every single week and as often as necessary. And it didn't have, you know, it's not a very long conversation. It's just 5 or 10 minutes. But because I was able to connect with people, I was able to offer them the accountability. And when it comes to convenience, because my services are provided either over the phone or online, you know, we've been talking about telemedicine, that virtual nature, it's just so much more convenient. And if it's convenient, then it's doable. And the program that I use, Take Shape for Life, it increases the convenience factor by offering a very simple nutritional system. And so once again, when I worked as a nurse practitioner, I used to recommend that kids ate every 2 to 3 hours. I give parents lists of things that they should feed their kids, and they'd come in with a 100-calorie packed snack of Oreos and say, can I feed them this? And I couldn't understand why they couldn't chop up an apple and put some peanut butter on it. And then I delivered twins, and I gained 50 pounds, and I got it. You know, people are just busy. They're just so, they're stretched to their limit, and they need something that's quick and simple. And so part of what we offer them is a simple nutrition plan using healthy grab-and-go meals. And then in addition to that, there's a structure in place. The structure is a clinically proven structure. It's been proven through Johns Hopkins University. It's been proven through the NIH, and the NIH actually conducted a study using this program compared to a traditional healthy food-based program. And they found that we offered statistically significantly better results. And so instead of trying to keep my fingers crossed that whatever curriculum I chose was going to help my clients, I can now offer them something that I know is going to work, that offers them predictable results. And then in the third tool that we offer them is that this accountability that we've been talking about, that traditional healthcare, the traditional healthcare system has not been able to monetize. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'll interrupt you for just a second, and there's a couple of questions coming in terms of the programming, Take Shape for Life. This is not a program that you created. It's actually a physician-led program. Is that correct?
That's exactly right. It was actually created by a critical care physician that noticed the system was broken, kind of the way I noticed that it was just not doing its thing. And so he noticed also the need for behavior modification, for lifestyle, and the need to get it covered, you know, monetized. And so he developed this system that works really well to help people and that offers a way to pay the professional to offer the service. And, you know, a lot of times when people think about Take Shape for Life, they think weight loss. And that's because we do offer a very effective way for people to lose weight. However, when you think of losing weight, oftentimes people think about a diet. And a diet teaches you how to lose weight. And Take Shape for Life is very different because losing weight is actually just the first step. What we want to do is we want to empower people to live a healthy life. And so I went from trying to figure out how I could help people get healthy to finding a system that not only helped them get healthy, but that I could get paid for. I don't know why people got on this call tonight, but I know that for me, I was looking for more flexibility. I was looking to have that sense of purpose and accomplishment in my purpose. And I also wanted to make more money. You know, I wanted to work less hours and I wanted to make more. Excuse me. I didn't want to have to ask for time off 6 months ahead of time. I wanted to be home with my kids. And I wanted to be able to help people get healthy. I wanted to use the experience that I had, you know, earned over my nursing career. And like I said, I wanted to make more money. And all of this only came together when I became a health coach. So not only do I get to work from home now, I get to homeschool my 5-year-olds.
Wow.
But I also get to help people create results that I could never do as in a traditional nursing role. I started working with a client last week that's diabetic, and she had been on insulin 3 times a day. And by the 4th day, her blood sugar was 84, and she didn't need any of the insulin. And I never got to hear stories like that in 13 years of nursing, and now I get to hear it every month. And then in terms of the money I make, It took me 8 years of schooling to achieve a certain income range as a nurse practitioner. And as a health coach, under 2 years, I was able to surpass that income, running my own business from home with my kids and creating results for people that I couldn't create before. And, we don't have enough time to talk about all the ins and outs. Ins and outs.
That's right. You're getting excited. I love it. Enthusiasm coming through. I want you to take a break here, and we're going to do a quick poll here as we wrap up tonight. But just to kind of look at these things that Donnie's covering is that this is truly a business opportunity. This is not a job. While there are jobs out there in health coaching or telemedicine, but this is actually a health coaching role. And maybe, Donnie, you could define the difference between your role as a nurse and your role as a health coach and how you're actually doing the coaching with patients. And are you doing it inside the clinic, outside the clinic? How are you doing it?
I do all of my coaching from home. It's all over the phone. And I get to use the skills, Carmen talked about transference of skills. I get to use the skills that I learned as a nurse with active listening and therapeutic communication and motivational interviewing to really communicate with clients and understand what it is that they want so that I can help them focus and take the steps necessary to do that. A typical coaching call for me takes no more than about 7 to 10 minutes. Might go something like this, hey, David, how was your week? And you might say it was fabulous. I went to a party and I didn't touch any of the cookies. And I would say, that's great, David. Why didn't you touch any of the cookies? And you'll talk about why. And so then we talk about, well, how's it going to be a year from now when you're at your goal weight and you attend another party? How's that going to go? And so we get to kind of explore action steps beyond weight loss and healthy choices that'll keep them healthy for the long haul.
Well, we showed the picture of the Villanova College of Nursing up there. Do you want to explain a little bit more of the tie and the connection to the McDonald Center for Obesity Prevention Education and Take Shape for Life?
Well, as I mentioned, this is a clinically proven system, and the Habits of Health system that we use is awesome. It's so great that it caught the attention of the Villanova University and their Center for Obesity Prevention and Education adopted our Habits of Health system as their curriculum for certification. So I'm a certified health coach through that organization, and that's something that I'm very proud of.
Talk about liability as a nurse with your license and offering nutrition or health coaching information. How does that affect your liability?
Well, I actually don't function as a nurse practitioner, as a health coach. I utilize my nursing skills, but I'm not working as a nurse, okay? And so when my client that called me and said my blood sugar is 84, I didn't say stop your insulin, okay? I asked her, how did your health professional suggest that you handle this? Let's give them a call and find out what they recommend. So I don't give any medical advice. And so as a health coach, I'm able to practice across state lines with what Maricela was talking about before. As a nurse, I couldn't, but as a health coach, I can.
Great. Well, we are going to take one more polling survey to just get the feedback. If you would like more information from our panelists on these different nursing roles, please cast your vote and select the items that you'd like to get more information. Our panelists do have connections and content and coaching services that they can provide to you. So please cast your vote now, and we'll close up the poll, and then we'll wrap up with Donnie, and then we'll take some Q&A from some of our panelists tonight. So thanks everybody for participating tonight. Please cast your vote so that we can get you the information. All of our registered participants will get an email with the contact information for each of our panelists and their LinkedIn connections, as well as other contact information. So be looking for that email, and please cast your vote on any other specific information you'd like to receive. Donnie, as we wrap up the poll, talk a little bit more about how you are working with other healthcare professionals and actually getting referrals, because one of the questions was, how do you go about getting clients? And do you work with doctors, nurses? How do you do that?
I do. how do I go about getting clients? Well, the beauty of what I do is that it's very visible. You know, I lost 55 pounds, my husband lost 100, and so my clients become walking billboards, and they'll go to a class reunion in Alaska, and all of a sudden I've got some clients out in Alaska. And so there's a lot of word, I call it word of sight. But in terms of partnering with health professionals, I've also partnered with health professionals from different states that they just don't have the time to deal with the behavior modification component. And so what they do is they refer their patients to me. If we know that the national average is that, you know, 2/3 of Americans are either overweight or obese, it's probable that within each practice that their 2/3 of their patients are either overweight or obese and need help as well. And so a lot of times these practices will refer their patients to me, and since I can help them in any state, it doesn't matter where they're located.
Well, what I love about our presentation tonight is that Carmen, Maricela, and you all have services that actually could be used intertwining together. I mean, the opportunity that what Carmen is coaching and guiding people on in terms of advancing their careers, and you having this opportunity where you can actually offer health and wellness coaching, and then Maricela offering the telemedicine, it seems like that they all work together. Is there anything that you'd like to talk about on that? Because I think that you're the one that kind of brought all the LinkedIn connections together to put on this webinar. So, Johnny, what would you say about each one of the services working independently or together?
I'm not sure if I understand the question, David. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It was a long question, but the question was, do you see each one of these opportunities working with Carmen, Maricela, or your health coaching program, do you see them working independently of each other, or actually that they could work together and actually nurses could do both or three of them all together to advance their career?
Absolutely. You know, I actually, any role, because I actually started coaching while I worked as a nurse practitioner, you know, on a very part-time basis. And it was pretty interesting actually, because I was making about $2,000 to $3,000 a month, working maybe 5 to 7 hours a week. And so any nursing role can fit in with what we do. And as I mentioned, I believe that nurses were built for coaching, just because we see patients as this whole entity. It's not just a blood pressure. You know, what is it that's causing that blood pressure, and how can we help them? And we want to educate them and empower them. And that's what coaching is all about. And so whether it's, you know, in mental health nursing, whether it's in telemedicine, whatever aspect of nursing that you're in, coaching fits right in.
Well, thank you very much, Donnie. And I want to get to a question back to Maricela. That there's a gal that's on right now, I believe so. Well, it's an anonymous attendee. They didn't put their name in. But they said that they're interested in working with persons in the field of addiction, utilizing telehealth. Are there any classes or programs that you provide in that space?
Actually, there's a huge movement going into virtual support groups. So if you're interested, I mean, we have the technology, and just connect with different hospitals or community centers that can provide you with patients. I work with an amazing diabetic nurse practitioner, and I mean, she is a single mom, and she's been struggling to, with her kids, but she's so passionate about nursing that she stays once or twice a month to hold support groups in diabetic management. And there's like little participation. It's like nobody goes to those support groups, but you can think about using technology to connect patients, to these support groups. You can have different technologies like Blue Jeans or a Zoom type of technology where it's HIPAA compliant, and hold your own support groups in this type of settings. What you need to do is you need to make sure that each and every patient is within the state that you have a license in, and you need to have some sort of a consent to make sure that no patient information is obviously shared within the members. Perhaps just, I don't know, initials or something like that, but each patient needs to have a consent, and you can provide support groups in this type of setting, sort of like a Zoom technology, right? Where you can have 10 participants and you speak to each of them and guide them through different things. You know, it could be diabetic management, it could be a loss of a spouse. I mean, any type of support group. And just think about how you're connecting with patients that have mobility issues, patients that need that support, that need those caregivers, that health coach, that wellness coach, that nurse that has experience in ostomy care. But, you know, like I said, you just use technology to provide this type of service. And that's one of the things that I can see that growing tremendously.
That's great. Carmen, I'm going to put a big task on you, but I want you to speak to the nurses out there, and I want you to give them hope that there's a career out there or a business out there that will give them a sense of fulfillment and happiness and lifestyle that they can enjoy. What could you say to those people that joined us tonight or that are watching the recording to give them hope that there's just really an amazing career, just like the three of you have done? You've gone out there, you've pursued your dreams, and now you're fulfilling them by helping other people to do the same thing. Could you share anything with our participants?
What I would say, David, is that we need nurses. We need them in any facet. So what is sad to me is that many are shown that we only need them at the bedside. And we do need nurses there. And there's nothing wrong with being that kind of nurse. But perhaps that is not for you, or perhaps it's no longer for you. We still need your nursing knowledge. And there's many different avenues that can come out in, whether it's your own business or being employed in different facets, in different ways. You can still be challenged as an individual and love what you're doing and still have that passion and know that you're making a difference, whether you touch patients or whether you don't touch them technically, but yet you affect healthcare positively. There are so many different facets and many places that are unturned. And what I have found that's out there is no one is speaking other than what you could do. No one is speaking with the actual experience of how they've done it and have gone on to replicate that in many. I mean, I honestly, it's thousands of other nurses that I've helped. Look me up on YouTube or wherever, and you will see that that's exactly what I've done, because I've personally done it on many different levels, whether it's with a bachelor's degree or not, or more as an advanced practice nurse. And I've actually helped others to go on and do the same thing. So David, you don't have to ask me. It bleeds out of me everywhere. This is what I do. Awesome. Nurses are needed, and there are so many ways that they're needed.
Thank you so much. Donnie, I have a question for you. And the question is that for the coach or for the nurses that are out there that want to do the things that you're doing, but they don't have a 55-pound weight loss. Their husband didn't lose 100 pounds. They don't really know what to do to kind of open their own business. What kind of hope and inspiration could you give to them that they have this desire to move away from the bedside? They want to be in an environment where they're more flexible with their schedule. What could you share with them to give them some hope?
Well, what's nice about coaching with Take Shape for Life is that you get to start a business for yourself, but you're not alone. You're actually put into a cocoon where you have a support team that's all there available to help you succeed. So that's the first thing. And there's a fabulous training that goes along with it. In terms of not having a weight loss story, I always like to think about the example of male OBGYNs. I had a male deliver my babies, and he never delivered a baby of his own, on his own. And yet I knew that he was a professional and that he knew what he was doing. And the same thing applies to us as nurses. We take care of patients every single day that we empathize with, but we may not necessarily we may not have walked those steps that they have. And there's just such a huge need for health in America today that whether you have a weight loss story or not, what really matters is that heart of service.
That's great. Maricel, I'm going to wrap up with you tonight, but there's a lot of nurses out there that are uncomfortable with technology, and you have spent a lot of time and a lot of energy and a lot of money to develop a business around technology. Could you share some hope with our participants tonight who maybe just don't feel very technologically savvy, that they can learn and adopt to these new 21st century strategies and principles that are being enrolled in telenursing?
Sure, absolutely. There's different classes that are out there to actually train nurses how to become telehealth nurses. And I could certainly forward that to whoever needs to, or feels that they need that training before they even start anything, any practices or any services or consulting services with telemedicine. So the help is out there and the training is out there. Not everybody can become a telehealth nurse or practice in telemedicine. You need to have strong clinical skills. You need to have the ability, like I said, to assess and treat patients in a short, span of time in a virtual setting. And that's not for everyone. Ideally, it'll be great for nurse practitioners to have some sort of technology in their practices. But, again, some of them feel like they just want that patient connection more. But I can certainly forward different universities that do have a whole program set for telehealth nursing.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your time tonight. Each one of you just provided such great expertise, and just appreciate your time and commitment to helping other nurses to advance their career and their businesses. We will send an email out immediately following the webinar with the information for each one of our panelists. And so I just want to thank you all for giving us your time tonight, and thank you for all of the participants who shared their time with us, and be looking for more Beyond the Bedside webinar series, because we feel a huge obligation to give you more information, more tools to help you to advance your career and your businesses. Thanks, everybody, and we wish you all a good night.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.